and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. My name's Adam Cook for episode 459. It's a podcast about video games. That'll never catch on, they said. Nearly 500 episodes in. But I can't do it alone, and thank God that Chris Hyde is here. Hi, Chris, you all right?
Hello, mate. I don't think that's the best intro I've ever had.
I'm excited.
Thank God I'm here. Thank
God for Chris Hyde. Thank God he's a geek for Chris Hyde.
Indeed. Right? How are you, mate? How are you? I feel like we don't ask that enough.
Let's maybe not this week.
Okay. Anyway,
we have two returning friends on to host this podcast with us, don't we, Chris? How about this?
Friends is a bit strong, but yeah, other people.
Well, I was actually going to ask you to introduce one of them, but it feels wildly inappropriate now you said that. So I'll just say that back from the wilderness is Mr. Adam Carroll. All right, mate.
Hey, man, how are you?
Still the same as when Chris asked. The thing is, right?
It's just a standard opening line, for every pod, isn't it?
We've got to do something different. We've got to come up with it, like hey, fuck chops, or something. I don't know, like
fuck chops.
Yeah. Listen,
cool. Hey, fuck chops.
Straight in there.
Listen, as the host and producer of this, I need to introduce the fourth person so I can stop switching buttons and just press that one that shows people all four of us. So, welcoming back for his second week on the trot, will it be the difficult sophomore album? It's Lyle Carr. All right.
Hello, everybody. I am back once again with the ill behaviour and ready to do some opinions and stuff and talk about games.
No, let's not do too much of the opinions this early on because I'm already slightly concerned knowing that there is a video game we're going to talk about that I think you and I are going to completely agree on, and that really disturbs me. I'm already concerned what people will be saying about me afterwards. He's gone now. He's gone too far because he agrees with Lyle.
Yeah, that's fair.
We should say that, Lyle, you're a very nice man.
Thank you, yeah.
I'm just
saying.
End of the compliment.
That was it. I just want people to know that we are all friends.
We are.
Despite Discord. We couldn't talk about it last week, but we can talk about it this week. A game that I know all three of us, apart from Adam Carroll, have played, but I know that Adam Carroll is particularly excited about his Hero Suda51's latest game, No More Heroes 3, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to play No More Heroes. I want to play the whole lot.
I thought it would be an exciting new twist on a podcast about games to ask the only person who hasn't played the game,
who has not played it, who has not even touched the first one.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. You haven't done any in the series at all. So
I have seen a total, I'd say, of about 5 minutes of footage ever of this franchise.
And was that of
that thing, and then just like the hack and slash and all that kind of bits and bobs. And what I see, I'm kind of thinking, I'd play. I'm like, I'd play this. I absolutely would play this. But look, I'm hearing people are hot and cold with this third entry, and I don't know why, because I've never played it. But Lyle reviewed it. So here we go.
Actually, Lyle and I both reviewed it. I reviewed it for Freelance as well, and we didn't really talk. It's one of those things we don't really talk about the games we're reviewing if we're both playing them, because you like each other to have like your own, little bits we did. But like, I mean, Lyle, just mate, when you're ready, just I actually can't. 6 out of 10, wasn't it? It was 6 out of 10.
It was, yeah.
And I think I actually gave it the same equivalent score on the website. Go on.
A very quick question for Lyle. Lyle.
Yeah.
Is No More Heroes 3 better than Breath of the Wild?
It is not.
Huzzah! That's a small victory, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we go.
Feels hollow.
Yeah.
Oh, you must fucking hate this game. I'm surprised it got 6.
Yeah. It's No More Heroes 3 is sort of like, it's very much two different games. There's sort of really great combat, really fun boss fights that are just really enjoyable, totally out of a game that would get a 9 out of 10 easily. Like, just these really fun, huge boss fights, the best part of the game by far. And then the other half of the game, maybe more than half of the game, is this open world that looks and runs really, really badly. And I know I like Deadly Premonition. So let's not just dwell on that fact for a moment.
We will.
And to get to the boss fights, you have to earn money to pay to fight the bosses. It's sort of like it's been in all the No More Heroes games.
That isn't new. I will say that is not a new thing.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
But and to do that, you have to do tasks that range from boring to painful, I'd say. So there's.
Well, I mean, let's do this thing. We didn't do this, right? We didn't. This is not something we've pre-planned. I'm going to ask you a question, right? And
Okay.
I'm going to ask a question, and I want Chris to count 3, 2, 1, and then say go. Okay? And on go, I want Lyle and I to both say which the best mini game in No More Heroes 3 is. Okay? So, Chris, when you're ready, 3, 2, 1, and on go. When you say go, we will both say, I think the same thing.
I think we might.
Okay. Here's my moment. 3, 2, 1, go.
Lawn mowing.
Lawn mowing.
Right, there we
you
go.
go. Yep.
Despite that, you both didn't say it at the same time, or when I said go, but
No.
you both said the same thing, so that's fine.
But it's fine.
The
it
internet
works.
has latency, Christopher. This is...
Okay.
So why is the lawn mowing the best thing in the game? Like,
Well, maybe not the best thing in the game, but it's the best. It's the best mini game. I mean, the lawn mowing is quite satisfying. You're mowing a lawn, you see the grass go away. It doesn't take too long. It's okay. And the reason it's the best of all the other mini games,
yes,
is because the others are a lot worse. Like there's one where you get in a tank and shoot like alligators.
alligators. Yeah,
the worst turret section of any game. You can think of having a bad turret section.
I mean,
And
when
kind
someone's saying to me, I could choose between mowing a lawn and getting
Yes.
in a tank and shooting alligators, surely the getting in a tank and
course
shooting
it would be.
alligators would be more fun.
but not if there's like. So the thing is with games like that or mini games like that, there has to be some level of challenge because otherwise it's boring. And guess what? Lyle can finish that sentence for me.
It is in fact boring. And I mean, alongside that as well, you've got the fact that like before each of these mini games, they talk to you for just a bit too long about how to do them, and you'll have to drive between the mini games to find them in honestly the open world, and it's got a map that's hard to read and sort of like low quality. It's
Which by the way, sorry Lyle, I think is deliberate.
I think so.
For the most part, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced it's all deliberate, but I think for the most part that kind of like I don't think the frame rate's deliberate.
No,
but
I don't think so.
Some of the kind of I don't know, man. I don't know. Like the open world is. I mean, people are seeing it on screen now. I mean, I almost want to say we'll let them watch it, but like we can't do that because it's a podcast, you know.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just rough. And I mean, there was a time where you were pretty sure one of your saves had sort of messed up, so you got in touch with me, and it was because you couldn't find one of the fights you needed to do when it had a waypoint on the map, and I had to load up my old save and try and find it, and I did, and it hadn't broken, but it was so hard to find because the map's so balked that basically, like, you know, it was just so frustrating. And I mean, it's so hard because I want to love this game because realistically, like when you do the boss fights, like I've done a lot of guides for the game since release. And in doing that, I've basically replayed like almost all the bosses about 5, 6, 7 times. And that's probably the best time I had with the whole game. Was once I was done, you've got this list of bosses that you can just fight. Each one of them has like, you know, some of its own unique spins on how the fights work, which I won't spoil here because there's some really kind of outlandish ones as you get further. But to get to all those things, you've just got to do all this busy work. And then alongside that as well, the story, and sort of like the style of the game is kind of like almost appealing, but it sort of goes really in depth about like fake in-world anime references,
which is again, I mean, I've played the others. That is fair, but like, it kind of just feels like they almost they've made the first game again, but with a bit of a modern, not that much of a modern, but a bit of a modern Like like he's now come out and said this is the last one, and I kind of feel like it's a bit sad, really, to like for a series that at the time, I believe you started your review actually talking about like the first game and how at the time, and I totally like, it was one of those saluting the flagpole straight away there. At the time, that game felt so different, especially being on Nintendo system where he is basically wanking off his sword to get his energy back up, or he has to take a shit to save his game. Like that sort of stuff back then. You know, you see more of it now. Like, you know, it's still to me a surprise. Like there's some sections in that game where you're like, Christ, I can't believe this is on a Nintendo platform, because there's still that kind of, you know, it's Nintendo. They didn't used to allow it. You know, there's those famous stories about like I saw a new story the other day. I'd love to credit it, but there was one where it was like the boss of Nintendo at the time wanted to tone down the violence of one of like there was a Bond game or something. You know, I think it was GoldenEye. They wanted to tone the violence down a bit. You know, you think about how that was how anti or pro young people that I guess it was, but like this game, like man, the amount of times I felt like it was bugging out. Like it's part of the charm that he's sort of, you know, he's an anti-hero, isn't he? He's a douchebag, but a lovable douchebag, kind of a lovable douche. Sometimes a lovable douchebag.
Yeah.
And he swears and it's all that. And it's very, very crass. And it's like, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you watch or listen to this podcast regularly, you know I'm no stranger. And the whole team, you know, there's no one on God is a Geek who's like, oh goodness me, he said the C word. You know, it's not that. It's just like I do think that like when you throw a swear around, sometimes it loses its impact if you waste it, if that makes sense. And yeah, like he says fuckhead in this, and sometimes for me, when he says that, it's like the game trips out and he just can only say that. So he would be, I would be attacking an enemy and he would just be going, fuckhead, fuckhead, over and over again, like 5-6 times in a way, on a trot. But it isn't though, because it's like, okay, yeah. But like I was going to ask Lyle about that, like in the footage people were seeing earlier, like the space battles. Because again, what Lyle said earlier, like if you could just have the boss battles, and I would even go so far as to say some of the fighting. Like if it was like a DMC style third person game where you progress through the game fighting bosses and there's combat encounters on your journey, I think I would probably be with you. I think it would be a 9 out of 10 because I really thoroughly enjoyed the combat. But anytime I wasn't in combat, and I would even go so far as to say some of those space battles, I never really felt kind of fully in control of them. They always felt weird, like I wasn't sure if I was doing it right. I don't know if that was just me.
No, I totally get that. They were just, there was something odd about them, like maybe sort of like it didn't always feel like you could really move in the direction to dodge that you needed to, or your specials or the way you aimed were just a little wrong. And yeah, I didn't really talk about that a huge amount in the review just because there's so many ways in which the gameplay just warps as you go through the game. But that's definitely one that happens more than the others, I'd say, the sort of weird space battles. But they're definitely not as good as the, you know, on the ground standard katana dodging, attacking, you know, boss fights and standard enemies that you have quite a few times. But yeah, I think if just like the bits of the game I liked were condensed into one sort of like 6 to 8 hour game, it could easily have been in the sort of 8 or 9 range quite handily. But there's just a lot you have to deal with other than those moments, really. And it's a real shame because, like I said, especially when I was doing the guide at the end, I was like, God, this game really is good, isn't it? It was like leaving a much better impression than when I'd finished the review.
Because you were cutting all of the wheat. Was it wheat or chaff, would it be? It'd be the wheat from the chaff, wouldn't it? I don't know now. The wheat from the
Getting
chaff.
rid of the chaff, I suppose.
Cutting the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah.
And surely the chaff must be whatever chaff is, it must be the good stuff, and the wheat's the bad stuff?
Don't know. I always thought chaff just sounds like
what's
crap.
Chaff? Can anyone who's watching live find out what chaff is?
Yeah, let us know what chaff is. I the only thing for me, and I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but I just think like No More Heroes when it first came out on the Wii, like I said, get the whole Nintendo thing. Like, don't expect to see it on a Nintendo machine. But I also felt like that sort of humor was kind of relevant whenever it was. Was it like in the 2000s or whatever it was?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can't say that stuff now. That's not what I mean. But it's also been done a lot. And so therefore
Yes.
doing that same thing again in No More Heroes 2 without really, doesn't seem, from what little I've played, moving it on very much. You just feel like, okay, it is, but you don't get the same sort of like, oh yeah, kind of thing that I got when I played the first one.
That's his shtick. Like,
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if Lyle, you know, I don't know if you picked up on this, but I felt like a lot of the jokes.
Yeah.
So for those listening, I'm doing air quotations. A lot of the jokes it wasn't that they weren't funny; it's that they've been done. Like
exactly.
Even so, Chris, I don't know if you got this far, but when you start each kind of chapter, it comes up with the big G instead of the N for Netflix, and like goes the G. So you get the G appear, which is Grasshopper manufacture his. Yeah. But again, I kind of feel like that's another joke that's like you sort of smirk it at the first time, but then you're like, it's kind of you're about 2 or 3 years too late, mate. And it's the same with like the Call of Battle level.
I was going to mention that next.
That is a joke that is just. I mean, we both discussed that. That is one thing we did talk about. That 10 years? Do you reckon too late?
Yeah, definitely. It's this area that is a grey-brown shooter environment is one of the open worlds, basically. So and the joke is, look how ugly and one colour it is, and that's
but you're
going to
have to play it, by the way. That's the thing. Adam, I know I talked to you about this years ago with The Witcher, where it's always the one I go back to because The Witcher 3 is a phenomenal game. We won't ask Lyle the question, not today. But like the one thing that was always a black mark for me was the fact they did that goat mission where it's like, fetch quests are funny, aren't they? By the way, you're going to have to do a fetch quest, and it's that joke. It's aren't those games old and brown and grey? And it's like, yeah, that joke's too old. Oh, you're going to make me go here repeatedly, so my eyes hurt. Okay, but then it's not really funny, is it? Because I'm actually experiencing the thing you're saying shit.
And therefore it is. Like, that's, yeah.
I want to know, what did you want in this third game? Oh, aside from obviously, like, running better. Like looking at the footage there, the open world does look a bit clunky. A bit, no, it does look very clunky in the open world. But, like, for me, still haven't played the games, as I said, this still looks kind of quality. It looks mad. It looks crazy. But then that, to me,
but that wears off,
completely...
man. No, I'm with you. I wanted that madcap zaniness, the crass humor. I wanted all that. That's what that series is. If they didn't do that, it would be weird. But the very best comedians have been going a long time and have to reinvent themselves. Not lose themselves, but reinvent themselves. The world is constantly changing. There are things now for someone of my age that just didn't exist 20 years ago. And, like, you have two choices. Get with the times or become a dinosaur. And I'm not saying that's what's happening with him, but I feel like there's the humour. It's not like it's not funny at all. But it goes so far into that kind of... Do you ever see the South Park episode where they all buy Teslas and start sniffing their own farts?
Yeah, that's...
yeah. That's an old enough one. Like, it's newish,
but you get what... It's that kind of thing where it's like... Because they're like, oh, look at that. It's like you believing your own hype, I think, is the thing I'm talking about. And I don't think that's what it is, because I don't know him. I just feel like there's... He's got his niche and he's got his audience, and I'm sure they are the ones in our comment section telling us that we're wrong. But I feel like there's a brain there that could actually reach a much wider audience while not alienating the existing. And like he's been out there recently saying like he wants to make he'd love to make a Marvel Deadpool game, and it's like that sounds a great idea because you'd get money thrown at you, and you'd also have like a quality team there that would be like, the QA would be like, no, this isn't shipping. This isn't shipping. This is not a Marvel properties quality. So it'd be like, actually, yeah, I'd be well up for that because it's the Deadpool level, the crass, the humour, but with Marvel's stamp of like, you can't put that out because it runs at 15 frames. I'd be well up for that. But I think that's what it needs. Sometimes it's the Kojima thing, man. It's when you're your own boss and no one tells you no, you don't see your own mistakes, I think.
I kind of feel from in a way, though, like he's like reviews be reviews, I know, like, and people are just being honest that they didn't enjoy the game, but he kind of like seemed to be openly like bummed out about it. That like it almost felt to him that he didn't really know no, this is just me guessing, but like judging from what he's writing online and stuff, he kind of seemed to think that like, what do you want? Like, what did you want from this? And do you know when you're saying like, oh, this is where he said, oh, it's the last game. It's kind of like, it is a bit sad because, as you're saying, when it first came out, it was like wild and just totally like off the wall.
And that was over 10 years ago, wasn't it? It must be.
I would say even longer, maybe, but
maybe
like
longer, yeah.
It's longer.
Yeah.
I'll find out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like he was in his head. I felt that like maybe something like similar to Deadly Premonition. It's for the fans of that. This is not for people to just jump in. It's for people, fans, and I think that's where he's bummed out. Where he's kind of going, oh, the fans who liked 1 and 2, and I don't know what the feedback is really on that other one, Travis Strikes Back or something. I don't know what the story is of that one at all, but I think that's what's getting to him, is more or less like the fans are kind of a bit like, oh, whatever. But then look, I've seen some people love it as well at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, like, yeah, I mean, I don't like, there's nothing Lyle said in his review and certainly nothing I said in mine that was like nasty.
No,
and I think for everyone, everyone, like, you know, if we had like Mikhail still on the site and he'd reviewed it, it would be a very different story. He's reviewed it for his site, the Mako Reactor, and I think I want to say 9 out of 10. I think he really loved it. Like, I'm sure he's
something like that. It was even
very
maybe
high score.
8.5.
So, and there have been others where I've seen 8s and stuff. So it's not like it does. It's just one of them games where I think it's either going to gel with you,
yeah,
or you're going to be where I think where Lyle and I are, which is to say that we love that. I love the combat. I love the combat, but the rest of it
looks
just
great.
It's great fun, and it feels good. It feels tactical with all the special moves, but that open world is for me like there's no nice way of saying that. It is properly bad. So, yeah,
shame.
Well, Ads, you haven't had a chance to speak about it yet, so why don't you tell us about a game I think you were quite looking forward to, right?
Yeah, Aliens Fireteam Elite. You guys talked about it last week. I definitely was up for it, but I think more so because of the skin of the game in general. You know, what you guys were saying last week, I would be pretty much agreeing with. My only thing about this is like I'm playing this now, kind of every like Monday, Tuesday night with 2 other friends and. Like where I've only, yeah, I know. I did try and do it. Like after you guys said, I'm gonna have a bash off that there on my own to see what it's like, and I was like, oh Jesus Christ, that's bad. That's poor, and there's no denying that. That's just the AI is terrible. I have been playing as a medic in this game. Adam, I think you said as well. Like, why is it just 3 when there's like what 4 or 5 classes or whatever? I don't know, but at the same time, I'm kind of welcoming it just being 3 players for some reason.
I wonder if they built the levels before they built the classes, because I don't think a 4th player would fit in some of those levels.
Probably not, because Chris, you did say as well, you were kind of saying that like anyone that would jump in and play the first like mission or whatever of this game, it would be like, I'm out, like this is just whatever, because it is kind of mental that like running around in this game. And with all its, I'll get to all its like alienness now in a minute, but like running around in this game and looking for like, I don't know, collectibles or whatever, right? Like there are like hallways, I don't know what you call them, just like areas that you can go down and there is nothing.
Nothing there.
There is just nothing there. And I'm just like, I don't know what that's about. And it's a really weird design because you can find like 1 loot box per mission or whatever, so you're all 3 of you are out looking for it, and that's I understand that's like, and you got a bit of intel here and there, that's fine, but with all the stuff that you can unlock in this game, like it's crazy. There's a lot of stuff to unlock, there's a lot of stuff to upgrade. That's all quality, that's all great, but it is a slog to get to that point of unlocking stuff. Like I am now at like I finished let's say the 2nd chapter, right? So I have the 3rd one to go in. There's 4 altogether, as it stands for me anyway. And then there's that horde mode that unlocks. But I'm going on to 3 now, and like the credits and stuff. I know this is the point. You replay, you do all that kind of stuff. But like, I'm a medic. I'm because I said I normally would never go for something like that, but I said, just for a change, let's just do this because I'm not going to.
You're normally the tank at the back.
Tank at the back.
Right, that's exactly. So I'm going straight in as this medic, and I'm going to like maybe play and have fun with like having the kind of responsibility of healing the gang, whatever. So that's been kind of fun. It has been weird to like figure out what the story is with the perk of throwing down that thing and going, now it's gone. Where do I upgrade this? And Adam, I think you actually wrote up a tip.
Do it, Chris. Oh no, Adam, you were about to do it. You were about to do it. Please.
You wrote up a little guide on how to solve this solution on the site on gozgeek.com. Check that out. And it actually, I was like, all right, cool. There we go. Happy days. Gozgeek saves us.
It's genuinely one of those things. It does explain it. It does actually, but I think it's like in a tutorial tip, like when a loading screen. And to me, it's like one of the key things of that game as a medic. Because I play as the medic, and not being able to do that was like, well, I'm pointless. And like the idea that it doesn't really teach you about like, listen, don't let anyone else pick up a health pack. You get that. It's a bit strange. Like
That's not normally a thing, is it?
No.
Especially when you've got the capacity to pick one up.
Yeah.
Like, if they didn't let anyone else pick them up, but because you have, you're like, okay. So,
and you got that weird, like we had this situation where we're like, you may as well just use your medikit now and just pick up that one, and that kind of shit, And it's just like this just feels wrong or something. So anyway, figuring that out was really, really good. And like at the end of the day, where I had this pistol, and it's shit, and I'm just kind of going like, and I've got no bank to spend, really. I can get like a muzzler or something like that, and I'm like, come on, I want to get into this game like with all that it has to offer. Because here's the funny thing then, right? They start lashing out this like ton of dialogue. You're talking to these characters.
What you mean back in the base and stuff?
You got all this like press left or up or down in the D-pad to hear this dick chat away to you, and you're just like, I don't care.
Yep.
I've watched the films. I know the story. I'm fine. I just want to run and shoot.
It's not
and have
that game, is it? It is. You always want to say to them, it's not that game.
No.
See, those games, they're just not that game. Like they don't feel like it, and it just feels like it's kind of just hashed on for the sake of it, and you're kind of going, I understand they couldn't not put something in, but sometimes you're like, listen.
Left 4 Dead manages it, and like even Back 4 Blood, I think manages it. Like, or rather, the incidental storytelling as you are. I don't mind it when saying that actually, the woman who does the voiceover stuff, who's constantly snarky.
Yeah.
That's not great.
And then it has that like repetitive nature that you guys are mentioning as well, where you get to the setup where you're like, all right, there's 3 medikits, there's the ammo, there's the thing, let's set up, and everyone ready? Cool, bang, and just go mad on it then, right? And you have great fun doing it, and it gets quite intense. I can't even imagine like what like the hardest difficulty is on this kind of game, But what I will say is, I have not really come across bugs at all. I've seen people play this game and it's just run like absolute dog shit in some areas, but like it's been running pretty well for me. I think like the lighting is really good. It feels really like Aliens. The sounds are great because if we all remember correctly, Alien Colonial Marines, when they were trying to get the sound of those guns, wow, that was bad in that game. In this, it's still like it has that weird sound, but it is the sound from the movies. And I think Austin Wintory's music is superb throughout. I think like it's just it nails it, and I'm having fun with it. I am having fun, but like it is doing that thing where like World War Z had it, Predator, Hunting Grounds, like they come out. They got the skin. I like Predator. I like World War Z, the movie and the book. I like Aliens.
Side thing. Are you going to play any more of that? Because that's PS Plus this month. Predator's Hunting Grounds. And I never played it. And you bought it. Yeah, I suppose because I thought it was PS Plus straight away, but it can't have been because then it would have been.
No. I bought it when it came out, and it was. I bought it because I was supporting like. Was it Ilphonic?
Yes, it is Ilphonic. Yeah.
Yes. So I kind of wanted to support them after the whole Friday catastrophe that they had, like, and stuff. And look, I had a fun bit of time with Predator, but none of my mates actually had it, so I was kind of just playing it with randos.
Well, now PlayStation Plus.
Yeah. Which is like, by the way, PS Plus
Good
games
shout.
are pretty alright this time because you got Predator and Hitman 2, and everyone should play Hitman 2.
Sorry,
but-
Overcooked on PS5. Great game, by the way, Overcooked.
Yeah, is that one good?
Oh, brilliant,
Well,
brilliant.
Not when me and Adam play together because we just can't seem to talk to each
But
other.
it's actually, I don't know, I feel like people aren't, I think people are quite pleased with this month's selection, but I don't think people realise that it's All You Can Eat, which is the PS5 version, which has got both games, everything, and that is a phenomenal package.
It's really good.
Did you review? I can't remember if you did review it or you were going to. I forget now.
I reviewed it. Yeah.
I know you really liked it. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, I gave it a really, really high score. It was really fun. It's just such a good co-op game.
That is, yeah. Sorry.
But look,
back to Alien. Sorry.
Like, aside from all like the stuff that exists in this game, like I think it's a very fine package. Look, I paid the $40 for it. I'm not raging over that. I'm having fun dipping in every Tuesday night with the two other lads, and we're just like we're all kind of like big Alien fans anyway, so we're all kind of having good fun, like with the whole, like there's a lot of Prometheus kind of nods and things going on in this one, and it does the bit, you know, like, but it's where it's going to go. It's where its future is, because it's going to get boring. It's going to get to that stage where, like, we've beaten the campaign, we know how this is, and it's just a matter of, like, if I've nothing else to play, and we all have tons to be playing all the time.
Oh, yes.
It's like, it has a lot of work that it needs to do to keep people coming back. And when you have the likes of, you know, Back 4 Blood coming out, I'm even more ecstatic about, like Evil Dead is coming out next year and stuff like that. Like, online games, they are a hard thing to accomplish, and like I feel if you're just going to have the skin of Aliens, that's fine when on launch, and it's fine for a couple of weeks, but that will wear. That will go away, and then it just eventually just becomes a shooter. So, but as it stands right now, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this so far. I have, as I said to you, the unlocks. I've unlocked nothing. Like barely anything.
The trouble is, man, you unlock the flamethrower, and then you try it, and you realise, like, if you're the smart gun guy, you're like, nope, that's way better. I'm going back to the original weapon, because you kind of start with like the pulse rifle, the smart rifle. You know, you start with the Aliens guns. You know. So
do you know actually what? Like, this could be just a stupid thing, but I was a bit like, I have 400. I can't remember. It's a 4,800 credits or 480 credits. I can't remember exactly how much currency was for the flamethrower, but I had it, and I was like, I am buying the flamethrower. But the thing is,
you couldn't use it.
Fucking Medic couldn't use it.
Medic can't use a flamethrower.
And I was like,
it doesn't normally show up. Normally, unless they changed it post-release, but pre-release, if you went into the shop as like the heavy gunner, or I forget the Devastator, isn't it? The weird names. But if you go into the shop, it shows you the kind of guns you can buy that will work for you first.
Well, I think they're at the top, and then further down, it still shows you everything. So maybe if you scroll down,
you need to be the Devastator, I think. Possibly,
and that's the thing. I'm not really there, because I'm like, with the leveling up situation, I'm kind of like, I'm getting to rank 3 or whatever with the Medic. I was like, I've come this far, I'm going to stick it out with the Medic anyway before I go on to a new class, you know. And that's just the way our team is working. That's the other thing as well. There's a lot of mechanics going on here at such an early stage that is just unnecessary. Like, there's just skill. Everything is leveling up. Everything. And I don't feel like I'm getting much from it after like I've basically played half of the campaign, and what I've gotten now is like a couple of like skins on my rifle. But like, do you know, I want to use the flamethrower, and I know I can just go off and do that thing, but
I know what you mean.
It's just kind of it's weird that way, but it's okay. It's fine, and that's what you left it at last week as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, before we do move on any further, because we're going to get into sort of preview territory in a minute, I do have to just look over to this monitor and read out that chaff from Philip Tyndall is the outer casing detritus of the wheat. It's why we have wheat flour and not chaff flour.
Which is fair.
So, which one of us was right? I don't actually know.
Me.
Yeah. I'll just
I think
fine,
so.
probably. But before we go any further, the actual real thing is to say that if you're enjoying this podcast, whether you're listening to it on some headphones or on your phone like that, or on your TV, and you're scaring your kids with us, that's fine. But if you go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, you can find early access to everything, basically. There's exclusive videos. We've got some new shows in fact, as we record this 1, 2, 3, in a few days, I'm going to be sat in this room with someone recording something that we've never done before. That just pimped it way too much. But the reason I'm saying that is that Patreons will get that before anyone else. There's a series Chris and I are doing that I'm not going to go into any more details of, that I'm literally editing in between other editing things, that will go to Patreons first. You will see it all first there. There are tiers. We've also got merchandise now, and we're going to change things around a bit so that rather than giving away the T-shirt that we've been giving away for a long time, if you're a $30 tier, perhaps we'll give away a more recent one. I really should have had one to hand, but I haven't. Go back. I'm wearing one a couple of episodes ago, but patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. Thank you. And we will continue with the podcast. That wasn't an advert. Well, it was an advert, but it was an advert from the heart. Okay. Lads, where do you stand as of right now? No, actually, where do you stand as of a week ago when I say to you, what do you think of Far Cry 6? Adam Carroll.
It's the business. I'm a big fan.
Far Cry 6?
Yeah. I'm a big fan.
Fine.
I'm up for this.
Okay, no, fine. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Lyle Carr?
I think Far Cry's all right. It's not really my entire thing, but I could be convinced.
Okay. I don't know why I'm calling everyone by their full names. Chris?
Yeah, I'm similar place to Lyle. Like, interested in to see what it was going to be, but it wasn't like top of my list for the remaining games of the year in terms of like hype.
Okay. A couple of weeks ago, I got to play 5 to 6 hours of the game. The first half an hour I can't talk about. It's like the story set up there. It's silly, really, because I want to say some things about it, but I can't. But we're more afraid of people spoiling it, so we'll just shelf that. We'll talk about that later. I will say this, and Ubisoft, if you're watching, keep watching, because it gets better, okay? Before playing it, I was where Lyle is, I think. I was like, it's Far Cry. It'll be all right. It won't be bad. It won't be mechanically bad, but it's like... So the last Far Cry I really enjoyed was 5, and then they released one I keep forgetting, like the spin-off of 5, that was just...
New Dawn.
Yeah, which was just, to me, it was like, this is too much. And I went into this thinking, this game's going to have to kind of do something pretty big, because I am at the stage I was at with Assassin's Creed before Valhalla hit, where it's like, enough already. Have a year off. Have a couple of years off. Go and have a think. Now, 6 hours in a Ubisoft game isn't that much. It sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. That is a big preview in any definition. You don't usually get 6 hour preview builds. I also noted that normally with Ubisoft ones, there's a disclaimer on the footage that's part of the build that says like not final, blah blah blah. And I will say the game felt pretty final, and it's out reasonably soon. And whether that's just a case of people got pissed off and said, could you stop putting that in the build? I really, really enjoyed my time with this game. Like, really enjoyed my time with this game. It feels to me like they've kind of gone back to what made Far Cry 3 good, to the point where one of the missions I played... Like, so Adam Carroll, if I say to you Far Cry 3, I would bet massive fan of that game, right?
Yeah, it's the best.
Okay, yeah, the best one in this series, I would say. I would agree. Maybe this is a risky thing to say, but what would you call, like, there's one... I'll say it involves music, because I think that cues you in a bit more. What would you say is like one of the scenes you remember from that game that's like, that's one of the... If someone said to you, tell me 5 things about Far Cry that you remember, that would be one of them. And I'll just say it involves music. And can you get it from there?
Yeah. Like, it's kind of like the opening of Far Cry 3, and then, like, it's villain, basically, or what?
But a particular mission. It involves a specific weapon... and some music playing.
Oh, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah. No, I'm not spoiling it.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I'm kind of going to have to.
I don't like spoiling games.
I kind of have to, because that exact scene is in Far Cry 6. Literally, with a flamethrower, burning stuff down, with music playing, different music, obviously. There's some weird stuff that, again, like 6 hours into this is not enough. but there's some weird stuff where they're almost breaking the fourth wall, and I'm not sure about that. But they're kind of talking like, your character. I played as the male version of Danny Rojas, and he might mutter to himself something, but it's to you, if you know what I mean. He's talking to himself because he's on his own at this point, but he's kind of almost talking to the player. And I was playing it and like, I'm not sure about that, but it was very, very rare. Only a couple of occurrences, enough to notice. There's a couple of things I think they need to stop with. Like, I think they probably need to stop with the the animal companion stuff. I think that's done. I don't think it needs it anymore. Like, you start, your first one's an alligator, then you get like a little dog called Chorizo. But it's a dog, but its back legs are wheels. Like its back legs are wheels, and it sort of wheels along. And its power, it's kind of clever. Its power is that it distracts people because it's like the puppy Chorizo. It comes up to them and cutes them out, so you can like walk round the back while the soldiers are distracted by this dog. In essentially, it's a dog wheelchair, isn't it? But like the ones. I mean, I'm trying to think of a comparison, but you know what I mean. Like it's like it's been a purpose built for this dog, and he goes up. And they're like, oh, did you do Chorizo? And then you just like in the back of the throat, which is a bit of a strange thing to have. The alligator is the alligator. You can imagine what he does, and you can pet the dog and you can pet the alligator by giving it.
I think Chorizo was more than enough. I don't think we need the alligator. The alligator is a bit like what?
But there's a weird thing about the Far Cry games in that I actually quite like the stealth in them. Like, for all of like Assassin's Creed's assassinness, I don't think they're particularly good stealth games, and they certainly aren't now. But I quite like with Far Cry, I can wipe out an area in stealth, and I feel quite badass from it because it's fairly forgiving. I don't know. It's one of those where I don't like. It's a loot game now, by the way. So like you can find.
Yeah, so you got all the gear and stuff that you have to like.
So hats and stuff. Like you find a hat that's like fire resistant, and like you equip that when you're going to go and do the mission with the flamethrower, because the enemies have got flamethrowers and they're weak to flamethrowers, but so are you because you're a human and you're going to burn, so you have to wear your fire resistant gear. And there's like crafting, and there's this so there's resolver, which is the weapons that you build, like the flamethrower, the bow guns. There's all sorts of stuff like that. There's like some sort of laser gun, electric gun. There is, I keep forgetting what they're called. There's like a backpack system where you can craft and create like a backpack, and the backpack itself has mods on it. So you can create like a they've got like an ultimate, like an Overwatch style ultimate now. Hit the triggers together after killing enough people, and the first one you get is like it pulls out the third person, and it like fires off some like rockets out of her back, or his back, I should say, in my case. And I kind of like the changes they've made in that respect. Like you can create a backpack. Oh God, I should remember what the bloody name is. Resolver's the weapon, and I just can't remember what it's called. Supremos they're called, and you can like put one on your back that's got like, so the ultimate ability is to self-revive. So rather than, if you're not playing co-op, waiting for the AI, which is not great, to come and help you, you can just self-revive if you've built the ultimate up. It's got everything else you'd expect from a Far Cry, but it feels more like not loot based. But it's I don't know. I really enjoyed it, man.
I do think that like 6 is, after playing 5, and I did like 5 a lot as well. But I think it has come to a stage where it needs a massive change. Now, for me, hearing about the loot gear and all that kind of stuff, I don't really need that. I can accept it. I feel it's just kind of one of those things that they can just throw in and make the mechanics feel deeper, and that's fine and all that. But for me, it's more so about making the story matter, and making the action bombastic, but not just cause bombastic. It needs to, because I always remember when I played like Far Cry 2 and stuff, and you get the just everything's on fire and everything's blown up. It's just all like at the time I remember just going, fuck, that looks unreal. This just feels great. And then 3 was a massive leap forward, like in a new direction with the story. However, they stuck to this storytelling of like hallucinogenic fucking stuff, and I'm just like not into that. I'm not into it. It just goes so it almost feels like Far Cry struggles to finish its story.
Yep.
they don't know how to finish their tale, and it's always like, and then sometimes they do this thing where they'll build this amazing villain, and then it's just in the background. And
so
like,
I will say I don't think that's going to change. Like, I can't talk about the stuff I've seen in terms of the story. But I was let loose into the world, and I did think, okay, this is very much that, where you're going to get these beats with them, but they are very much the kind of kingpin that you are working towards.
Like, am I going to have a setup where everywhere I'm going around, I can't even remember the actor's name now. The guy from Breaking Bad is the main villain anyway. Am I going to be going around this world and he's just going to be walkie-talking me? Is that what's going to happen here?
He didn't do that the entire time I played. I will
see,
say
and that's
much.
Interesting because, as you said, 6 hours?
Yeah,
6 hours,
and also the first sort of 4 were kind of like basically the start of the game, the first 4 hours, and then essentially we broke for lunch and came back, and what they did is they pushed us to like a later stage of the game where a lot more was unlocked and you were further into the game. And again, I don't recall ever hearing from the main character.
How did side quests, NPC interaction, how did that all how did that feel?
So they've kind of changed that up a little bit as well. Like you go to talk to someone and it kind of cuts to I've got some, but probably not in this B-roll I'm showing. I did, because I captured it. There's it'll cut to a almost stylistic view of the character you're talking to. Like the background will be black, I think it was, with them on it, and they're kind of talking to you like they're taken out of the environment. It's like they stuck their 3D model on a black screen with some do you know the Biffy Clyro's latest album, the blue splash of paint across it? It's very much that kind of style in places, and it was notable in that they had done that, but I couldn't tell you. I think I remember one, again, 6 hours is not a lot, and especially jumping around the narrative like that. But there was one character. In fact, there were a few characters I was thinking, actually, I remember them now I think about it.
I'm just wondering, how much life they'll bring into those kind of things, especially with this being on, these consoles and stuff now, and the power that they can provide. Because, you play those games back in the day, and it was back in the day, but you'd walk into, a hut, and there's Matey Chops behind the table, and he gives you this massive mission. You go, all right, I'll go off, and you do that. And then you come back after that massive mission, and Matey Chops still behind the table going, so you got it done. You're like, yeah, I did. You did fuck all by the looks of it. Do you know, I just kind of feel I need a bit more.
So I think you're asking for more wholesale changes than they're doing at them. I will say this, for sure, even though I enjoyed this, right? Even though and I really did. Don't get me wrong. It's not like this is the one for me now. I'm really looking forward to playing the full game at my own pace. Playing through it. They've made improvements to co-op this time because it sounds like it'll be playable in co-op, whereas before, because you would lose all your progress through the world, I found co-op was pointless before. They've said that you keep your progression. Now, I hope they mean story and not just leveling up and stuff. That's a big improvement for me. But I think even with how much I enjoyed this, I still feel this is as far as they can go. We now we can talk about it. The Saints Row reboot, I saw that a few weeks ago, and that was again, makes sense. You've gone as far as you can go with Saints Row, and this to me now. There you go. If you're watching the video, you'll literally be seeing the mission I was talking about earlier. I don't know, because this is, in a way, it feels kind of like not a remake, but it feels closest to Far Cry 3 to me, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But you can't keep doing that.
No. Tell me where streets are coming from, and we didn't get a name for our Mr. Alligator Man. But
I don't know what his name was.
Where are they coming from? Do you just call them and they just kind of wheels on in?
The worlds are getting bigger and bigger and bigger in Ubisoft games.
That's it,
right. So I feel like that it really doesn't work, because I didn't use the alligator hardly at all, because I would be like, well, I'm having that plane. Okay, well, I'm going to fast travel over there because it's miles away, or I'm going to get in a car, and the alligator's not getting in the car or the plane with you. So then at some point you would just you'd start moving around, and it's like, oh, there he is. He's over there. He's found me. He's just
Chorizo must be bait if he's going around in that wheelchair,
That's
and you're just tearing around the place, and paragliders and jeeps and everything. He's just like, could you put me in there for once?
No, I mean, I wish I could. Yeah, no, it's that is particularly again, it's one of those things that feels like they could just stop doing it. It doesn't. I get why they do it. It's
yeah.
a marketing thing. It's people to be like, it's like with Boomer from was Boomer, wasn't it? Far Cry 5. Good boy. With BOI.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of cutesy internet marketing, but I don't really need it in my game.
I'm looking forward to 6 anyway. I really am.
I am too. I'm also looking
Yeah.
forward to a game that's out really soon. Actually, I think it might be when this goes wide this week. Lost in Random. I'm not going to talk too long about this. Chris White previewed it. I previewed it elsewhere as well. Really interesting game, Adam Carroll, that I think you're going to like a lot. Really interesting game.
Yeah, it looks kind of up my street.
I mean, the dice roll aspect, the card-based combat is like... So, I mean, the easiest way to describe it is people watch this video, watch the preview I did with Chris, but you literally shoot, like, weak spots with your slingshot, and it fills up your mana bar, and then you can throw the dice, and it randomly will, it's a dice, it's 1 to 6, and you'll be able to use that. If you roll a 2, you get 2 points to spend. If you roll a 3, you get 3 points to spend. And you can use your cards to, like, get stuff out, like, to get your sword out, but otherwise you can't attack. So it's really fascinating. Like, I really want to see how far they go with this game, because, like, I've never played anything like it. It.
When's it out?
I think it's very early September. I think it might be the 10th.
Oh, nice. Sweet.
10th is a Friday, so it sounds about right. But like I said, I don't want to go into too much detail on it because I only played a couple of hours. I just it took quite a while to get going. I will say it's a while before you see any combat, which is like. But the game overall has got. I mean, you can see from the visuals, what style they're going for. The idea, I think, is that as you progress, you get like more like glowing dots for Dicey. His name's Dicey's Dice, because you can only throw up to like a 2 or a 3 at first.
I see.
By getting more dots as you play, you can actually roll higher numbers. Because I never got more than a 1 or a 2 or a 3, I think. Presumably, you'd be able to roll a 6 at some point, and that 6 will let you, like in Hearthstone, you play a card that's worth 6, and it will be like really good, like that sort of thing. So I would imagine that's the route they're going. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to talk too much about it because I want to see more of it. So what we can do is a lot of listener correspondence.
There's loads.
So we've already talked quite a lot. So Llama Fluff 42. Is this Discord, Chris? Are these from?
This is all Discord. Yeah.
Okay. What's the best and worst aspects of aging? Who makes involuntary noises when getting up from the chair now, and who has ear hair? Yes to all of those things for me.
Yep, same.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
What's the best and worst aspects? Well, the worst aspect is how much things hurt. Like, I did something to my knee walking on a beach, and I woke up the next morning and I was like, oh,
walking on a beach?
Yeah, like
you did something to your knee?
In a pothole or something. Yeah, no, I went in a pothole because I was walking the dog and didn't see it. And I felt okay yesterday, so I played football with the kids, and then today it's like, oh my god, it's actually worse than it's ever felt. That's the worst aspect. The best aspect for me is that you kind of don't care what people think of you anymore, because you get to the point where you're like, well, if you don't know me by now, I don't know.
I'm getting tired of falling asleep.
Up to the cupboard,
yeah.
or I turn round too quickly to look at something, and I've just jarred my neck for 3 days. It's like, fuck's sake.
I twisted my knee trying to go up the stairs, like a turn up the stairs, and I was like, fuck's sake, that's terrible.
Okay, so I mean, Lyle, you're the youngest here, aren't you?
31. Is that youngest?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you get any of this stuff?
I mean, I feel like I've been groaning when I stand up for about 10 years already, but I mean, I don't think I actively hurt myself turning round yet.
Okay.
Is that good? Am I doing well?
You're doing all right.
Yeah, I mean,
mate.
I don't. Just to be clear, I don't do it all the time. Every time I turn, I'm in perpetual pain, but it's just sometimes. Just so you're not when you get to my age, it's not like that's what happens. Just to be really clear, you're not going to live in fear.
Okay, good to know.
Continuing, Thomas has put 3 or 4 here. So what song do you go to when you need a bit of courage to do something difficult? He says Hot House Flowers, I Can See Clearly for him. You got a song that makes you, just gives you that, you know? Well, there's a lot of inhaling going on.
There's not one that I'm like, if I listen to this, I'm now on it. If I'm honest, there probably isn't a one song that comes to mind when I think about that, like specifically that.
Ben Folds' Army for me does it for me because it's just such an upbeat sounding song with the orchestra, the brass stuff. There's a couple of Biffy songs that just really, you know. Like...
I think I always go for something that's like so disgustingly heavy.
Yeah.
Like I just need some like just explosions in my ear, like that I'm just like, and then just off I go. I enjoy that a lot. At the moment, there's a band called Turnstile, and they have a new album out, and it's just doing everything I need. It is super.
Lyle, music man, or you?
This is always tough for me.
Yeah, go on.
But I mean, should I just make this like a podcast tradition and say Men at Work's Down Under for everything?
It was either going to be that or September, so I was like, which one's he going to go for?
Yeah, I don't know.
Fair enough. Do any of the teams still buy Blu-ray films? I stopped, but wanted to start again because I'm old and cling to things. You don't?
Of course I do.
I was going to say.
Oh, Jesus. I'm in like the thousands area.
I have loads, but I tend to find that I don't buy a lot of them. But then if I'm looking for things, when people go, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for Christmas? And I've got to pad out an Amazon wish list. I'm like, yeah, get me the DVD or the Blu-ray of that and that and that. But I don't tend to watch a lot of them, but I always tend to like get them bought for me for presents.
I'll be honest. I did buy something last week. It was a Blu-ray set that cost 180. Yeah.
Gonna tell us what it was?
Yeah. That sounds too much.
Otherwise, we're going to just fill in the blanks ourselves.
It's basically a compendium on folk horror.
Folk horror, okay.
Yeah, released through this company called Severin Films, and it's coming out in December, and it was limited to 4,000 units, and I could not help myself.
How many films?
There is 14 discs, I think, in it.
Okay,
like it's a tasty package. Let's be honest, it's a tasty package. You know, like I was on a rant. You know this. I was on a rant about the Horizon Collection there just before we recorded. To me, this is a better deal when it comes to these kind of things when you're splashing out that much money. But like that's obviously not everyone's gonna be. No, I'm gonna leave off Horizon and get the full car box set instead. I know, but that's just my thing. The Blu-ray game is non-stop for me. Like that is just it has been that way since. I don't know, since the VHS days. Like I've just videos and everything I have still. Like it's ridiculous. So yes.
I was going to say, do you want to try and top that, Lyle? Or
I can do the exact opposite and say that I own one Blu-ray, which
the making of
what is it? What is it? That's the most important question. What is that one Blu-ray?
It was given to me as a gift, and I actually haven't watched it. Although I would like
Avengers.
to watch it. It's a Schwarzenegger film called Last Stand or The Last Stand. I don't know if it's very good.
Oh yeah,
I must have seen
it's actually not that old.
Yeah, I got it.
It's pretty like a couple of years ago, like, you know.
Yeah. I think I got it about sort of like 5 or.
That is the most random movie to own. Like like you should just keep it that way for the rest of the time.
Yeah,
the only thing you ever have.
I haven't bought another Blu-ray since, so I mean, it probably will remain
could have been
my
Debbie
own
Does
Blu-ray.
Dallas. I mean, like, you know, that would have been pretty.
Who's Debbie?
Oh my god!
You're showing your age. I know what you're talking about, but I thought these two
Debbie
might
Does
not.
Dallas. You can't
just leave it. No, just leave it. Just leave it.
Do you know who Debbie Does Dallas is?
Well, you Google
I
it.
do.
Save
Not
search
Who Debbie is? Obviously went to Dallas and did it.
Google it.
She
after
did
the
go to
podcast.
Dallas, and she did. Yeah.
Did.
What's
She did.
I think Chris or Lyle can field this one. What's the hardest review you've ever had to write for a game?
I saw this question and I'm struggling. The thing is, I always find the hardest reviews to write are kind of those sort of the sort of middling games.
5 out of 10 is hard to write.
Yeah, if it's a 3, or a 9 or a 10, it's easy. They write themselves because
don't say they write themselves, mate. I'm not being.
Oh,
funny.
sorry. You know what? No, I mean it's like, but you know what I mean. It's
hell.
painstaking work, but you know what I mean. The words flow easier, I guess. Maybe a better
Thank
thing
you.
to say.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I'd edit that in post.
Yeah, because like obviously you're passionate one way or the other, positively or negatively. But it's the middling games where you're just like, it's all right. They're sometimes the harder ones to convey.
Where you're like, look, I'd be honest with you, the review should read, I'd really rather not write this at all, to be completely honest with you.
yeah. All right. Full stop. There you go. There's the review. But I can't think. I'm trying to think of an actual specific example of that, and I'm struggling. So unless Lars,
there's a third category that I think I don't find difficult, but I find more difficult. Remasters that have had nothing done to them. Or not much done to them, because you're essentially reviewing a game that's already been reviewed.
Yeah.
So I remember writing The Last of Us Remastered review after reviewing The Last of Us. And that wasn't too difficult because I think there was like they added the
Left Behind DLC.
Left Behind DLC. So it was like there was a package, a tasty package, Adam Carroll, as you mentioned earlier. But like when you're like imagine if you had to review Super Mario 3D World.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to review it again, and they didn't put Bowser's Fury in. It was just we brought it to Switch, and they've done that close to that a couple of times.
That because you're like, well, everyone knows. I don't need to talk about what it is because everyone knows what it is.
Especially what I'm saying is when I had again same thing. I reviewed Super Mario 3D World and 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. So it's like if they hadn't added that, I think I did in the end go back and just check with that one. Like I'm not just repeating what I said about 3D World, am I? And because it was a while ago. Like I'm old.
Yeah,
that's one of the worst things about aging is you forget things. But I don't know, Lyle, if you've yourself, you review a lot of games. You can think of a hard one.
Kind of like Chris, I'm kind of struggling to think of anything specific. I remember there was definitely. Yeah, I guess so. I remember there was a period about like I don't know, maybe at some point last year where I reviewed sort of like there was maybe like a few months where I reviewed maybe like 8 or 9 2D platformers, and you sort of run out of things to say about 2D platformers at that point, don't you?
I'm
not necessarily
a bit surprised that they've let you off here, if I'm honest with you, Lyle. I don't want to be the bad guy because it's not me. But like, how has no one said, well, Lyle, it must have been pretty difficult writing that fucking bullshit Deadly Premonition? Like, I feel like you've got away with
face.
It.
Yeah,
we don't joke about that when it's on the proper podcast. Well, we can.
Yeah.
Look, I was
I'm just looking at the chat. Sorry, brilliant.
I have to be honest, Lyle, that last night I was actually looking at physical copies of Deadly Premonition 2.
Oh yeah, you were. That's right.
I have the game digital, but I was kind of going like, it's going to be that situation, isn't it, where it's just going to disappear and I won't have it and I'll just be annoyed.
And you've got to have it. It's important.
I know, man. I know.
That was a review that I thought was going to be difficult to sort of explain the charm of Deadly Premonition, if you will. And actually, it just turned out that because I love Deadly Premonition so much, I found it quite an easy review to write. It was all good.
I'd love to see you review Breath of the Wild too. I actually think that you.
Oh Jesus!
I think you'd break your brain. No, I think he'd break his brain with that one. I think that would hurt. Punk, formerly known as Lyle. That's a long story I'm not getting into here. What's been your favourite bit of media this year that isn't related to games? Bonus points for Croc. I have one like to hand if you guys need a little bit of thinking time.
Go ahead.
It's kind of cheating, but it is the second series of Ted Lasso. So I love people who know me know I love football. I like me telly. I like me comedy. Something about I think the fact that it's on Apple TV that made me think it's probably shit though, isn't it? Like it's probably shit on there because like Netflix, Amazon, even Disney Plus, like they've all got all the good stuff. Like if it's gone to Apple TV, it's probably holy shit was I wrong? And I even chanced my arm because my wife is not into football. I'll finish that sentence. It's not a saucy podcast all of a sudden. But I chanced my arm saying to her, look, I've heard this is really good and it's not about football. It's that kind of, I don't think this will mean much to you, but there's a show with Bob Mortimer and Paul Whitehouse called like Gone Fishing. And yes, there is fishing, but the show isn't about the fishing. It's about their friendship and two old guys sort of who've both got heart problems going off. And it's about the people, not the activity. And Ted Lasso is that. Yes, there's football. but it's just a comedy drama, and it is just one of those things that every single episode I laugh at. Every single episode it makes me feel good because it's very warm feeling show, and I feel such an idiot because the thing is we've literally mainlined both. It's every Friday at the moment, and we've watched every single episode. So this first series and all of what's been shown so far, the second series, in a 2-week period. And like, even my wife actually last night went, "Nothing on, is there?" She says, "We haven't watched all of Lasso, have we?" I went, "Babe, it's not until Friday. We're caught up." And she sort of went, "Oh." And it's like, that show is so unbelievably good. It is. You don't need to like football to watch it. Okay, so there's mine. That's my favourite piece all year.
I've a I don't know what way you'll take this now, but there is a show that I have watched this year, and I was not expecting to be into it as much as I am. I watched 9. I'm on my no, but it's on that. It's on that
wow,
line.
Okay, I was joking. Go on then.
Of where it's not that topic, but it's kind of like it's that kind of reality style. I'm on my 9th season of a show called Below Deck.
Oh, I've seen adverts for this.
Yeah,
the Mediterranean below deck thing.
I've been tempted by this.
It's yachting. It's all about yachting. Yeah. It's all about people being on yachts and people being super rich and being dickheads and people just like stressing out over being a yachty is what they're called. Gotta say it to you, lads. I'm hooked.
It's just like when you played SnowRunner.
Yeah, but SnowRunner kind of like I got to the stage of SnowRunner. I was like, all right, this needs to end. That was kind of a lockdown situation. Below Deck has become like an every night I'm having my dinner, let's put on an episode of Below Deck situation. And like then that one episode might turn into 4. And as I said, like I started this show 3 months ago, less than probably, and I'm on my 9th season.
Is it that thing of, because this is what happened with us with Ted, is that like you know there's a time where you're like, I've got to get up tomorrow, I should go to bed kind of now. Yeah. For us, Ted is like, just one more, and then that doesn't happen often.
Like they show you they show you like what's to come in this kind of typical reality fashion. So they gotta really in somehow again for another episode, you know. And this one lad, he's like, because you get really invested in the crew, obviously, and you're kind of like, some of them are just crazy and they make serious money. Like it's a 3-day charter that they do with whatever new groups of people come in. And I mean, like they get tipped like 20 grand. And these are just like people like us who get on a boat and they're just working on it for like 6 weeks or something. But the chaos happens. But like I was there and I was like, oh, I gotta go to bed now. I'm up at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then when they showed the recap, one dude turns around to the other guy and just goes, "Are you actually telling me that you're annoyed that I still get breastfed by my mother?" And it just ended. And I was just like, I need to watch this.
I don't know what I was expecting, but that was not it.
Like I was like, I need to watch the next episode. Below Deck is very good.
I mean, it's not breastfeeding, but I've caught up on a fair few stuff on Netflix. What? Oh, yeah, I know. Probably the best thing I've watched this year, all in, is probably Afterlife. I was going to say Castlevania, and then I've gone with Afterlife, so I'll go with that.
You're going with Castlevania.
Yeah.
I've got a pick, don't worry. And also, I'd like to say that as soon as this podcast's over, I'm going to watch Below Deck. So that's possible.
Afterlife. Watch Afterlife.
Below Deck sounds like the best of all these. Also, I'm going reality for mine. There are some really good series that have just been put on Amazon Prime of Australian Survivor. And my God, you've got to watch Australian Survivor. No, Survivor. Well, I mean, I guess there are spiders there, but they're not really featured. But it's the. I mean,
Lyle, hold that for 1 second. Adam Cook, it's saying in the chat we've lost audio on you. It could be me, but I think it might be you.
Lyle, carry on. It's me.
There you go.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
That's good because no one will now know what I was saying I was afraid of.
Okay.
It was all part of the plan.
Okay, great. Okay, well, I won't answer your question that you asked about this mysterious thing that you were afraid of. So, yeah, basically it's like you start with about 20 people. They do ridiculous and sometimes quite dangerous sort of challenges to try and be immune from voting, vote each other off. But it sort of goes layers upon layers of like different people scheming and like there'll be these idols you can find hidden around like the camps that mean you're immune from voting, and then there'll be one person who makes one out of bits of shells, so it's a pretend one, and shows someone to scare them off voting for them, and then that person will know that it's a fake one. One guy on one of the recent episodes I watched made a fake idol, wrapped it up, dropped it somewhere, and then waited for someone to come past, and then found it excitedly and like got really excited as if it was real. It's just it's the best reality TV.
I feel like there's like 47 seasons of this.
Survivor's an old series, right? There used to be on back in the day. It sounds like it's got a lot more involved since I've seen it. Like,
well, there was like one or two series that were like UK Survivor, and then it went. Yeah. The US have been doing it since then and have about 50, and do like 2 a year every year.
Wow.
But they're really hard to watch in the UK. But for some reason, Australia, they put their shit up on Amazon UK, and yeah, that's what you watch. It's really good. There's some great characters. There was a guy on an episode recently who had 2 idols, and then as they were sort of filming him for like a to the camera bit, he just started using them as like Iron Man blasters because he felt so powerful that he had idols. He just was going around going vroom, vroom. Some real characters.
That and the breastfeeding person.
There are 2 great shows you got to watch.
Yeah.
I think we won that round, to be honest.
Well, this one, let's just do this quick. Not that it's a bad question, but let's do this one quickly. McPoo says, right, I don't want you to think too hard about this, lads. I'm saying this. Don't think too hard. I just want you to go gut feeling. Which video game franchise mascot do you think you could beat in a fight? Also, bonus points for Crocky says, I suppose. Which character could you beat in a fight?
Toad.
Oh, God, this is fast. I'm going to beat up Link. Fuck it.
Ah, you fucker.
You reckon you could take Link?
I think he wouldn't be expecting a swift kick.
Small though, isn't he?
Yeah, but he got that sword and shield.
Oh,
and bombs. And a boomerang. And a bow.
They're all small.
He's little. It is child Link,
what
actually.
Do you mean
it's young Link.
Yeah, you see, when you look up on the screen, he's only little.
I think this needs to happen. I think someone needs to dress up as Link and fight Lyle.
That wouldn't be Link, though.
That's a Patreon video if ever I've seen one.
I guess so. Let's do it.
I'm going to go with Kratos.
Ah, Jesus, of course you think that. Do you know?
You reckon you could take on
the God
Kratos? The God of
Which
War.
one, though? Which Kratos? Are we getting
Does it matter?
Kratos?
All of them. At once.
Together.
At once?
With one arm and a bad back.
To tell you, I mean, Adam, I'm looking at the camera, but I'm hoping you're looking at your screen so you can see me looking at you. I'll tell you now that when Adam Cook puts his fucking mind to something, sunshine. All right?
I'm looking forward to seeing it. So you're fighting Kratos. I'm fighting Sackboy. Lyle's fighting Link.
How do you beat Sackboy? Do you set him on fire? Oh, this got dark.
I don't know.
Now we can do.
He's going to kick the shit around the place. I don't know.
He's not. That's like kicking a cushion round and saying the cushion's unconscious. How do you beat Sackboy? You have to burn him. You have to burn him, Adam Carroll.
Easy. Round. Flamethrower.
Oh, you're okay with that? Okay, no, fair enough. I thought maybe you would be uncomfortable burning someone alive.
Well, are we allowed to use weapons in this situation? I suppose we can. There was no rules set here.
I'm not saying that you are in any way incorrect. I'm just surprised that such a nice man would have no issues essentially burning a childish mascot that people love to cinders.
Loves a stretch, but yeah. Right.
I'm beating up Kratos. He's an angry man, and we don't need any more of them in this world. But
yeah,
the long game is always going on up there, lads. The long game. He's always preserving his career as long as he can. Fabulous knees. Hang on, I thought that was you for a minute, Lyle. It's not, is it? It's Mikhail. When will Lyle have a correct opinion after giving? Basically, I think he's saying that he thinks your last correct opinion is when you give the game that no one knows how to pronounce East
9. He gave East 9 and 8, I think.
I think that's right, yeah.
Which I agree with. So that was a correct opinion.
That was correct, I guess. It'll be my next review. You better check it out.
It wasn't too far from Money and No More Heroes, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't make me say it, Chris. Don't make me say that I agree with Lyle. You fed that line. It was just, I nearly said it. He also says, well, I haven't realised I haven't shipped anything to him in ages and he wants me to send over some vinyl. Mate, listen, again, if you're watching video, that box there is yours.
Massive box.
That's one of 2. Sorry, Adam, what were you trying to say then?
No, I was going to say there, just to go off of that East 9, whatever it is that actually the 9th entry? Or is there spin-offs and stuff?
I hope so.
I think it's definitely at least 9, isn't there?
There's at least 9.
There might be some spin-offs.
I'm not sure.
I only got into it at East 8, thanks to Mikhail. So I don't. Right. I'm not a pro.
Yeah.
The last the last question we've got here is from Jippochu, which is Sean, who writes for God is a Geek, and I'm going to read it out. Okay. But I'm going to warn you now that no one's to answer it, because what he's doing here is naughty, okay? Because I said no teasers about what content was coming up on God is a Geek that we might be filming soon, okay? I said none of that. But he's asked the question, what is your favourite title released for the Sega Dreamcast? And that's a teaser. That is a teaser. So, naughty boy. Naughty
so we can't answer.
If you want to answer, yes, because it will help give me some ideas. I'm not going to answer.
So I've
Radio.
Ooh, mysterious.
I've never played the Dreamcast, which I know surprises no one, but surely one of the obvious answers is presumably Soul Calibur, and I imagine, and one other one for me because it came out on the GameCube afterwards would be Skies of Arcadia. That came on the Dreamcast first and then got redone for the GameCube, but that would be my answer.
I don't want to speak to you anymore, Christopher. Please, Lyle. Dreamcast game. Redeem us.
My more obvious picks would have been like Sonic Adventure games. I like the Sonic Adventure games. I think they're some of the most fun 3D Sonic games, both of them. But if I'm going for something a bit different and a bit more exciting, I'm not sure what this disc is that's being flipped.
Are you giving me a yellow card?
It was.
Oh no!
I should hold up the other way. Sorry, now that way looks a bit different.
That does look very different.
Their faces. Look, their faces. There's another one. That's
not faces.
That's an angry one. I've got too many of them now. Their faces, their eyes. Yeah, look, this is why you watch the video podcast. Sorry, Lyle.
This is why.
Sonic Adventure is a good choice. It might be. I don't know.
It might be, but I think my sort of more left field pick, and maybe the one that really has the biggest place in my heart, is I really like Choo Choo Rocket. Where
I cannot speak about Dreamcast games.
That
came back. That came back. It did come back on something.
It has been. Yeah, quite possibly.
Xbox Live Arcade. It was, I think.
That
on the
makes
360 generation.
Yeah, but guiding mice into rockets without guiding cats into rockets. It's really fun. Really good with friends.
More than a 6.5 out of 10.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's certainly
great.
above a 6.5. I'm not sure why you'd go for that specific number, but
yes, you are. Yes, you are. Adam Carroll, Dreamcast. Come on, hit me.
I said Jet Set Radio, and then probably Code Veronica.
I was wondering if you don't want to say Code Veronica.
Yeah, that's what I go for.
played it,
I'm,
just
I'm,
not on the
I'm,
Dreamcast.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to answer this question because I'm not going to tease people with potential upcoming content. Sean, I won't do that.
I'm pretty sure if Chris White was here, he'd be saying Shenmue.
Mm.
That'd be his choice.
I can confirm that there will be no Shenmue. Well, I can't confirm that.
House of the
Shit,
Dead.
What have I got myself into? I can't confirm. Shit. I've been hoodwinked, haven't I? Someone's been playing the long con with me. If you see me in any future content in any relation to Shenmue 1 or 2 on Dreamcast, just know that it's a great protest. Okay?
You're not happy about it.
I'm not happy about it, yeah. Phil Tinder says Weetrix on Dreamcast was amazing and Weetrix 64 on N64. Best puzzle game that disappeared into obscurity. I don't remember it, so yeah, there you go. Thank you, everyone, for being here on this wonderful podcast. We've enjoyed it immensely. Thank you for being here watching live, listening, or watching afterwards. Thank you to Adam, Chris, and Lyle for being here right now, in the moment, in real life. Mm-hmm. I've already done the pimping and stuff, but make sure you follow us on social medias. Make sure you click subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell button. All that stuff you probably know by now. Take a look around the channel. Loads coming up. Loads of games coming out. And you know where to find them. Thank you very much for watching this episode or listening to this episode. I still can't get used to the fact that it's on video, even though we've been doing it for must be nearly a year now. I don't know. But thanks ever so much for being here, and we will speak to you in the next episode or whenever you choose to listen. Bye-bye for now.